Now, Paul Connolly's story starts at just 2 weeks old when he was found abandoned in a dustbin. He grew up in care homes and was subjected to a horrific childhood, barely educated, meaning he didn't learn to read or write until his late 20s. Incredibly, Paul has prospered in life, and a huge moment came last year when he topped the Amazon ebook bestseller list with his autobiography. So welcome to the show, Paul.
Thanks,
thank you for being here. I mean, I was reading your book last night, and I was completely blown away. I knew I needed to get up early, but I couldn't put it down. You've just had such a tough old time. How do you even comprehend it all? How do you comprehend that happened to one person, let alone yourself?
I don't think you think of it that way, to be quite honest with you. I think it's your life, it's the hand you've been dealt, and I just think you just get on with it. You know, I think if you overanalyse things, you tend to. I don't know, I don't tend to think of the future much because I think that, you know, you never know what's in the future. You can drive yourself crazy, can't you? So...
OK, well, let's start from the very beginning. So, so what happened? You know, you were two weeks old?
I was 2 weeks old, yeah. I was the last of 8 children, Irish Catholic family. I think my mother had some sort of breakdown. She put me out with the rubbish because, obviously, when you leave care, you get to read your files. You know, so I've read my files since I've left the care system. So you get a lot of information when you leave. And I was taken in by social services, and I was looked after in a convent in North London. They
found you in a dustbin?
Yeah, they found me out with the rubbish, apparently, yeah.
Oh, my God.
But I was the 8th child, the 7th boy, and I think... I'm not sure, obviously, the state of mind of my mother at the time, and, you know... You
can just only imagine. Yeah. But you ended up in a children's home?
Initially, I was brought up by nuns in Mill Hill, a convent called St Vincent's, from 2 weeks till I was 7. And that was, you know, that was quite a pleasant place. And you had nurses and nuns and, you know, a lot of Irish guys there. And it was quite a pleasant place. The nurse who brought me up tried to adopt me, Mary, but my mother wouldn't allow that for some reason. And so she used to take me for summer holidays and things. But when you get to a certain age, you have to move to the big boys' children's home. And I was moved to St Leonards in Hornchurch in Essex.
And that's where the nightmare began? Yeah,
absolutely, yeah. I mean, effectively, the children's home was from superintendent down, was run by a paedophile ring, effectively. And not everybody in that... I mean, there was 300 children in that children's home. Not everybody was abused, to be fair, but there was a ring in there. My house father got 14 years. But he was the only significant prison sentence. And a lot of them walked away with, you know, not much of a punishment. I mean, it all started when I was in my mid-30s and the police knocked on my door and they said, you know, can we come in? And they explained to me that there'd been an operation called Operation Mapperton, where they were investigating 30 years of abuse at the children's home.
Now, the abuse was physical, sexual...
And mental, yeah.
And crucially mental.
Yeah. I was quite lucky going to that children's home because I was nearly 8 and I was quite established in myself, and I'd had good experiences up until that point. So, you know, some of the people I grew up with were a lot younger when they were in there, and they were a lot more vulnerable. But your life completely went off the wrong tracks after that, didn't it? You became very angry, understandably, very violent. Yeah, I did, yeah. I had a lot of years where I'm very lucky to be here. I did a lot of stupid things in my life. And, yeah, I mean... But you witnessed so much. I mean, there's just one part of the book where, you know, you actually saved a girl from being raped. Yeah. Now, for you to do that, and you were just a kid yourself, and she was a child, I mean, that must be petrifying. I took a severe beating for that as well, yeah, really beaten badly, and ended up in hospital for that as well, yeah, because I wouldn't go away while this particular member of staff wanted to rape this young 14-year-old girl, and I wouldn't allow it. So, effectively, I took the beating instead, the frustration. It was very, very sad to read that it became your normality as well. Yeah. You actually said it was just like butter and margarine, the systematic abuse. It's not just... People think about sexual abuse, mental abuse and physical beatings, but also no education, no culture, no outlet to express yourself at all. You know? And this is where the next step comes in. I mean, you never learnt to read, you never learnt to write, so... As you had no outlet, it manifested itself in violence. Yeah, because, I mean, it was a bit of a double-edged sword, really, because I learnt to box as a kid, and boxing was my saviour. Yeah, you became really good at it, didn't you? Yeah, I was a good amateur fighter, and it became my saviour because I met good male role models, people
Yeah.
I could look up to, people that were, you know, were not trying to do things to me, for want of a
But
better
then that faltered as well because you had an accident.
Yeah.
So that stopped your boxing career. So how did you then start to learn to read and write?
Well, the crux of it was that I was working on a roof, and I fell off a roof and I severed my arm almost off and cut my hand in half.
Yeah.
And that was the end of my boxing career, effectively, and that was my plan. I was always going to be a professional boxer, and that was the end of it. It was gone, and it was plan B, so I had to go to night school to learn to read and write at 25, and you can imagine how embarrassing that is as a grown man. You know, as a proud grown man, you know, somebody who really, and without sounding cruel, the tutors were quite patronising, and because, you know, they saw you as thick.
That takes a lot of guts because you've described yourself as not unintelligent, just uneducated, and you know that really strikes a chord with, you know, for me, because I've got a friend who can't read or write.
Right.
He's, you know, in his 40s, and I think he's incredible. Because how do you get through life without reading and writing? Like, especially in the Western world, where everyone's sending emails and texts, and you know, you're reading maps or whatever else.
It's extremely tough. I mean, we're really hard on my kids now. My 7-year-old, he's a brilliant reader. He's in the 9-year-old age for reading, and my wife sits down with him every night and reads with him every night.
Oh, look at them! Look at them boxing. They're adorable.
That's Harley, that's Harley and Archie, my pride and joy.
Oh, I'd say so. They're gorgeous. And there's your lovely wife as well, and your Burke.
Yeah.
So, you know, let's go back. How do you cope? You know, when you're reading menus in a restaurant, say, what do you do?
Well, you don't. I can remember when I was dating, I used to try and be really suave. Obviously, before my wife, I hasten to add, I used to be really suave and go, why don't you choose tonight, darling? You know, and the girls I was going out with didn't know I could read or write, and you were always blagging it, and you were all... I mean,
Did you ever get caught out in any way?
Lots of times, yeah. I was the first personal trainer in the City of London back in 1989. I came back from the States, and I was doing really well, and they asked me to run at the health club, and I said... they wanted me to manage it and everything, and I couldn't read and write. And they had to get me a secretary because I mean, it's embarrassing to explain to somebody. You really... You know, I was always a very physical guy, and you know, and there is a massive difference between intelligence and education, and some people don't have that opportunity, and that closes so many doors, and it's such a shame.
But you did learn to read and write. You persevered. You found the courage to do it, and you wrote a book that has outsold The Help and Girl with a Tattoo.
Dragon Toe, yeah.
I mean, how does that feel?
No, it's amazing. I got a phone call from the publishers, John Blake, over the New Year and at Christmas, and I thought it was one of my mates messing about, and I just said... You can imagine what I said.
You didn't? Oh, no, that's hideous.
He's phoning back, excuse me, old chap, I am your publisher. I'd rather you didn't talk to me like that.
And this book is called Against All Odds?
Against All Odds, yeah, and it's really doing well, amazingly well. I've got a meeting with a production company this afternoon. They're looking at making a TV drama.
So what message would you send out to, you know, somebody out there who maybe can't read or write as well as they'd like to?
I just think it's never too late. People often feel that, you know, they've had their time, they've done their thing, and it's over. It's never too late.
It's just the beginning.
It's just the beginning.
Well, thank you. You are a complete inspiration. Thank you very much, Paul. And best of luck with everything.
Thank you.
Hello to those gorgeous boys.